Hey everyone, it's James Frederick. Welcome to Road Trip. It's the fourth exhibition of 2023, and I'm excited to share with you the work. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about the genesis of this work. So I have a series of paintings that are kind of pastoral landscapes of the Midwest. And the reason I painted these is because last year I painted as a gift a small painting for my sister, and it was of a nearby farm down the road from her. And as it sat here in the gallery, people were really drawn to it and commented, and I had so much fun painting it because it's so like out of my usual, because they painted, you know, a barn with, anyway, here, this is what it looked like. So people really responded to it, and I loved that. And you know, it's the heartland. It's where I grew up. I grew up in Ohio. The painting is of a farm in Michigan, and so I decided last year that I wanted to do a series of work that really showed that pastoral beauty of the Midwest and the rural architecture, and I set out to do it. So this spring I took a road trip out there and took photographs all through like upstate New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky. So you see a lot of different locations in this work, but I just loved it. And you know, the Midwest is gorgeous. It's like, you know, we get amazing sunsets there like we do here on the Cape. But instead of you looking at the sunset over like a reflection in the water, you look at it over like a field of crops or like over the top of a barn. And it's just as beautiful. You know, I talk a lot about how the tops of the vegetation in a crop can pick up the wind and almost feel like waves. And actually one of the pieces is called Tassel Time because of that. Anyway, I had a fun time painting these, and I just want to take you through them. So the first piece I want to share with you is called Go West, and this is a small piece. It's 9 by 12, and it's obviously headed into the sunset. It is a view of a really flat area of, I believe this was, it could have been Indiana, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's called Go West. I love how the light turned out in this one. And just like all my other work, you get my signature dark canvas coming through. I also wanted just to point out, like in the Midwest, there's often this thing where there's a large shade tree planted near like the dwelling of the farm. And you'll see that actually in a few of these pieces that, you know, everything's kind of barren because of the crops, but then there's like this one magnificent tree. So this one is called Go West, 9 by 12. And this piece is larger. It's called Winter Wheat, and it's 24 by 30. And this is actually a view of how green that winter wheat is when it comes up in the spring, kind of before anything else is green. And it's just amazing. And this is in Michigan, driving actually towards the coast of Lake Michigan. And you can see how the sun is getting a little lower in the sky and illuminating those clouds. This one is called Winter Wheat. And you can zoom in here and see the settlement, or like the compound of this particular farm. This one is on linen, so you'll see the texture is a little different, but still get to see that under canvas. So Winter Wheat, 24 by 30. And then this piece is called In for the Night. And this is actually a horse barn that's next to where my sister lives. So they keep these amazing horses, and I can't remember what type of horse, but it's kind of similar to like a Clydesdale, where it has those beautiful lightweight like boots is what it looks like. Anyway, in for the night. So this is 12 by 12 and in for the night. This piece is called August Fields, and it shows that really great perspective when you're looking right down the delineation between two different crops. And as a focal point, there's this great red barn. So this one's 9 by 12 and it's called August Fields. And this piece is called Just Around the Bend, and it's actually part of the rolling kind of landscape of Kentucky. And this is from a photo that I took not on the recent trip, but from a trip quite a number of years ago. I often went to a retreat in Kentucky from Ohio and would drive down through the winding roads, and I just loved that dappling shadow on the road and kind of the wildflowers just growing along the sides. So this one is 18 by 18 and it's called Just Around the Bend. And this piece is called Rural Route 17, 9 by 12. And I love the color in this piece. I love the balance of the warm and the cool. And just kind of the illusion or the reference of a crop in the foreground with not a lot of detail, and the focus really being the sky. So yeah, this piece is called Rural Route 17. And this one is 12 by 12. And I think it's Indiana. But it's called Plowed. And this was when the field was just freshly plowed here, and just a great barn. I love this kind of lower lean-to area in the front, and all the repetition of those windows. This one's called Plowed. And this one's 18 by 18, and I call it Twisted Sky. So in the Midwest, there's often thunderstorms, especially in the summer. And sometimes the sky just looks like it's gonna twist into a tornado. This has a windmill off in the distance there. And you can start to see the field of flowers just starting to blow. And it creates kind of that wave effect that I was talking about. So it's called Twisted Sky. I'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see. Oh, it's getting blurry. What's going on? Let's see. There. So, Twisted Sky. Did I say it's 18 by 18? All right. And here's the piece I was telling you about that's called Tassel Time. And it's when the tops of the corn, they create those big tassels, that silk kind of look that pops out, and the light hits it and it just feels like a sunset over the water. So this is called Tassel Time. This is Ohio, and it's 16 by 16. Tassel Time. This piece is called Shade Tree. And as I mentioned before, it's got that massive, magnificent tree shadowing or shading the house and it is 12 by 16. And it also kind of has that crop in perspective, which I love. Lots of outbuildings here, and you'll see that commonly through the Midwest. I love the contrast of the red barn structures with the green and the blue. I think I'm really drawn to that. So this one's called Shade Tree. And this piece is called Spring Planting. And I love how the light came out in this piece. So this is looking across a field at a dairy farm. And spring planting, because all of these little plants are sprouting up in this freshly tilled field. I love how the light came out on this one, as I mentioned, and especially this area on the bark. So, yeah, and that beautiful silo. And the light just kind of glimmering off of it. So that piece is called Spring Planting, and it's 16 by 20. And that is the 11 pieces of the show. So that's it. That's Road Trip. I had so much fun on the trip and painting the paintings. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more information, you can get to it here in the description. I'll put a link to my online store where you can find out all of the details. I also just want to give a shout out to Provincetown Magazine. They reached out to me a week or so ago to put together this story about my journey and about this show. So if you're local, you can check that out. It's called The Long and Winding Road. And I think I can add a link to the description to this article. So I'm going to try to do that as well. But check that out. Again, thanks to Provincetown Magazine. My next show is in September 1st, and I'm going to be bringing to you all of the watercolors that I was painting in the Dune Shacks and beyond. So I took a ton of photos while I was there, in addition to painting a lot of paintings, and I loved that body of work and I loved that experience, as I've mentioned before. And so that's coming to you in September. And then in October will be Sea and Sky, which is a bunch of seascapes, kind of back in my usual wheelhouse. And then in November, I'm gonna switch it up again and bring you paintings of the city. So the show is called The City and it is New York. So stay tuned for those. And I hope everyone's having a great summer. So I think that's it. I'm gonna sign out and see you later.